Let's talk about ServiceNow catalog item order fulfillment using Ansible Automation Platform. No JavaScript, no business rules, and no spokes. Just plain good old-fashioned YAML executed by our favorite automation platform. But before we can make something happen, let's talk through the origin story of a catalog item request. Now I've set up just a very simple catalog item that will provision a VM for this demonstration. I'm collecting just a couple of variables on this order form. One is for VM name that we'll call test123, and the second variable is for VM size, small, medium, or large flavors. Let's go ahead and click that Order Now button and see what happens. Now the first thing you'll notice is a unique request number has been created. This is a top-level identifier for the request of this catalog item. Let's click on that request item, and here we can see when it was opened, who opened it, and what the status is. Now this one was set to auto-approve, so we're all good on that front. The other thing that this request will contain are these request items. Now I have only one request item because this is a very simple catalog item, but imagine we're provisioning this VM. We might also need to provision a database on that VM, and then we might need to populate that database with staging data. Now that would be 3 separate request items. Maybe we also need to create an Exchange account. That would be a 4th request item. We're just using one request item here, and why is this important? Well, each one of these request items is going to keep track of the variables that are applicable to that specific item. So this request item being a provisioning for a virtual machine, it's going to need these 2 variables that we passed in, test123 and the VM size. Request items also have a place for additional comments that are visible to the customer that ordered the catalog item. And these could be important to, say, track the status of order fulfillment for this specific request item. Okay, so now we understand what requests are, what request items are. Let's go back and we'll make something happen using Ansible Automation Platform in response to some VM order being submitted. Let's go to Ansible Automation Platform first. I am going to be listening for these events coming from ServiceNow using automation decisions or the Event-Driven Ansible component of the Ansible Automation Platform. And we do this using something called rulebook activations. Now, rulebook activations are just like event listeners. They're typically running in the background, waiting for events to occur, and then evaluating whether or not we're going to respond. Now this one is currently stopped, so I'm going to turn it on, and now we can handle these events coming from ServiceNow. You'll see that the status is pending, but it will transition to running in a few moments here. It'll be represented by a circle sort of chasing its tail around in circles, and that's because rulebook activations are constantly running in the background and waiting for new events. We can see that it is now in the running status. Fire count is 0. This means that we haven't received any events on this rulebook activation, so let's change that. Let's go back to ServiceNow and order that item once again. Let's say the VM name this time is going to be test456, so we can keep these 2 things straight, and select the Order Now button. We'll again get one of these unique request numbers. I have 1167. Let's go back to Ansible Automation Platform. We see the fire count has been incremented. We've received that event. Let's take a look at that event that came in through the rule audit view. And here it is. So we've received a brand new event, and we can also view that payload coming directly from the ServiceNow Event-Driven Ansible notification service. Let's click on that link, and we can see the payload that we received from ServiceNow sent over to Ansible Automation Platform. Now this data looks pretty good. We have, the approvals, we have the impact, sort of the SLA. We also have that top level request number that was created, but there's a couple things that we're missing. We are missing those request items, and those request items have our variables. So we can't fulfill this order until we have that information. Occasionally, when you're working with event-driven automation, your original event doesn't contain the entire payload that you would need to make a decision on whether or not we're going to run some action in response to this event. So we're going to do something called event enrichment. So I'm going to take this original payload, and then I'm going to use this top-level request number and ask ServiceNow more information to enrich this event payload. So we'll close out of here and we'll go back to that rule audit page. Here we can see we processed that event, we tagged it as needing enrichment, and then we enriched the event, and that's this new VM request that we're seeing. So let's take a look at the events and we'll look at the event payload. And there it is. We can see enriched event is now a new top-level node within our event dictionary. And we have things like catalog item display value of provision VM. That's the original order we submitted. We also have those request item identifiers here. And most importantly, we were able to pull out those variables. You see VM name of test456 corresponding to that order submission that I sent through. Okay, so now it looks like we have all of the information in this enriched event to actually make a decision. So this event was trapped by Ansible Automation Platform, and then we evaluated it and we've executed a job in response. You remember those request items. You remember that we had the ability to attach comments to request items. So let's see what happened. I have a feeling there might be something there this time. Let's select our request item that's part of that top level catalog request. And here we go. We see the variables again, VM name test456. And this time, if we scroll down, we have a brand new comment. This comment was actually published by Ansible Automation Platform in response to receiving that enriched event payload representing a request for a brand new virtual machine. And just to prove that I received all of those variables for that job template to then go out and fulfill that order, you can see VM size is large and VM name is equal to test456. This demonstrates that we do have all of the payload on the request, the top level request, and all of the request items, so we can successfully take apart that payload and use these variables to provision our new VM. Here we're just publishing a comment, but you could rely on any one of our integrations for our public and private cloud providers, or leverage something like Terraform to go out and handle the provisioning for you, all directly from Ansible Automation Platform. So there it is. What we were able to do was listen for that initial request from ServiceNow. We were able to enrich that event and then respond to the catalog item order request with our automated fulfillment from Ansible Automation Platform. Again, with no JavaScript, no business rules, and no spokes. Just simple, powerful automation from the Ansible Automation Platform. Thank you.